Acquiring talent in a dungeon, chapter 51, day 13, upset. In fact, the gender of the statue wasn't clear. However, considering the neutral voice, their forms were closer to men than women. Is this what you look like? Rather than what? Than that, I wanted to have this appearance. Isaiah lifted her hand and touched the air. I don't have an identity, but I like the human body the best as an avatar. It's something that I created with my restored power. Congratulations! You shouldn't be congratulating me. You put the people in my city, so I can have these luxuries. The slender fingers fluttered through the air. Isaiah smiled like she enjoyed the pleasure of touching. It wasn't just a free smile. She looked like a child who has managed to touch her dreams. This child, can you give it to me for a moment? I don't think I will let it go. Once again, I became angry as I talked about what the worm did to me. I understand that you are mad, but I think I can use that child in a better way for you. I would like to ask for a mercy on behalf of that child. That isn't an apology. I turned over the worm and Isaiah scalped it with both hands. Originally, the sacred creature existed as subordinate to the god, but does that mean the sacred creature have a type of divinity? That they aren't aliens? Aliens. I waved my hand. Well, this child was made to be dependent on humans. It's good, but the problem is that humans are nothing without their roots. Isaiah brought both hands to her mouth and whispered something. The vibration of the worm that was shaking in Isaiah's hand became silent. Once the top hand has removed, the worm rolled into a ball and didn't move. Here, in the blink of an eye, Isaiah's hand was touching my chest. The worm disappeared into my chest. Hey, what? That child is afraid of you. It won't oppose you again. Right now it is asleep, but you can try it when it wakes up. I didn't know if that would be helpful or not. I touched my chest where it was placed, but I didn't receive an answer. Then I called towards the generator. A piece of metal was embedded in the control panel. The master key. Yon Shan-He has plugged it in. All the power that had been poured into maintaining the head shell was covered and the extra power was still full. I manipulated the levers. Sound vibrations started to spread out from the generator. The ceiling and wall lighting device were now working. The incubation room is activated. Neutral zone. Imperial Research Facility. 042. Druid's Workshop. I didn't power up the entire facility. Perhaps as soon as I fully powered up this facility, it might be cleared and integrated. I left the generator for a while and moved outside the incubation room. The corpse of Yon Shan-He's people were still here. However, I did see the mask of ice that was Changaram. Only pieces of the melted ice were visible in place. I missed him. He probably wasn't on this floor anymore. The situation didn't seem that bad. Yon Shan-He's ability seems to be where he could train and operate a larger number of people. Yet these people, except for Changaram, had been annihilated. At this point, the number of explorers was shrinking, so it would be difficult to regain as those people. Plus, Yon Shan-He has experienced the same thing I had with the sacred creature. Although there was no room for cockiness, he might no longer be at risk. After acquiring this fingerprint for the body and exploring every corner of the facilities, I returned at the generator. As I powered up the rest of the facility, I told Ishaya, I won't go to the city today. Isn't everybody looking toward it? They now have a king. This isn't a location I have to return to. In addition, time there passed like it did in reality. There was no time to act as a good for nothing leader. I had to check some reality. Aha, Ishaya smiled with understanding. Indeed, I guess so. How about you tell me what happened to them? I asked. Unfortunately, I can't. It isn't happening in my area. You can't break the rules. I guess you understand. I looked bitterly. I'm sorry, Ishaya said. It didn't matter. I hadn't expected a lot. I immediately manipulated the narrator. See you next time. Yes, I am looking forward to it. As power spread throughout the facility, word appear. Talia's monarch has occupied the neutral zone, Imperial Research Facility number 042. Current merging territory, third area. Monarch privilege, merger right. One-time acquisition. You too. Just before my view shifted, she didn't make any sound, but Ishaya mounted the word. You can expect something good. And I picked up my phone as soon as I got up, then made 2 phone calls. It was to Yun Sunyin and Yun Jihi. People sent me different amount of time in the dungeon. But they woke up at almost the same time. The customers can be received the call. No, the customers can't receive the call at this time. The tone kept ringing, but I didn't answer the phone. It was the same for both of them. Should I wait a little longer? I was prepared to a certain extent. Even if I picked up the call, they would ask who I was. It was likely, very likely. Whether or not the 2 people fell into the same place, they might have died on the 9th floor. There were 2 of them, however. It depended on their luck and the type of trial they would face. Maybe they met an opponent they couldn't win against, but they would have no escape safely. Down the stairs, that was what I ordered before entering the 9th floor. The customers can't receive any call at this time. Damn it! There were dozens of calls and the clock showed that it wasn't the normal waking time. I changed my clothes and immediately left home. I knew Yun Jinhee and Song Yujin addresses. The 2 people might have been killed in the dungeon. There was also the chance that if they were tortured, their identity in reality would be revelated. The more dangerous as the 2 was Yun Shunyin. Being granddaughter of a tribal protected Yun Jinhee to a certain extent. I stepped out of the building and took a few steps in an empty valley. Chorbeok. I felt something approaching from behind me. In addition, there were careful footsteps, so it couldn't be a passerby. It was just a guess, but it absolutely wasn't an ordinary person. I pretended to be unawares as I took 3 steps. During the 4th step, I unexpectedly turned around. Quack! I grabbed the neck of a man in a suit and immediately put him against the wall. I already knew that there was no CCTV in this alley. Cook! The man against the wall groaned. He pulled at the hands, cracking his throat, but the difference he struck between him and me was quite large. Good morning! In a voice that was close to a growl, I said hello to Kim Tae-yoon. Cooked! I helped Kim Tae-yoon with one hand, then I searched through his coat, suits and pants. Kim Tae-yoon was unarmed. I released some of my strength around his neck. Pant, I'm not attacking you. I know. He wasn't at the level of being threat to me, at least not alone, but we don't have a relationship where you can come every morning to say hello. Please be aware of that. I watched Kim Tae-yoon and the whole alley. I heard the sound of a car that hadn't turned off in engine, a somewhat older came sign. This is just a personal problem. You have the right to leave immediately. The man who walked closer wasn't an explorer. He was a tired-looking man in his 50s. He pulled out an electronic cigarette from his coat and started smoking. At that point, I had already released my hand from Kim Tae-yoon's neck. He leaned against the wall and I brushed the dust from his collar. Your boss? Yes. I turned Kim Tae-yoon's body towards the middle-aged man and hit his back. Kim Tae-yoon staggered in front of the man. That friend is Hamil, isn't that right, Dad? The middle-aged man looked at Kim Tae-yoon like he was pathetic and said, so a person shouldn't be in a hurry. My world is like that, and what do you think normal people would think if they saw this? Kim Tae-yoon's ears turned red. Get into the car. Director! Go in. I don't think I can talk to this friend if you're here. It's better if I tell the story. At the very least, I wouldn't be so disrespectful. It was easy to understand that the middle-aged man wasn't normal, just be looking at Kim Tae-yoon's embarrassment. The middle-aged man started talking. On the third day, he came and gave me direct report. It was about the dungeon. The middle-aged man pointed to where Kim Tae-yoon had disappeared before taking a few steps close to me. Every morning, I decided to check the status of his abilities throughout various physical tests and intelligence tests. I called his bluff. I had to make certain that his skills definitely improved in the dungeon. I think that it is a smart method. If I were aware of it, a person could survive in the dungeon simply going down the stairs, even if they didn't go well. Although he's like this, it seemed like he was going fairly well, at least until last night, the director said. But he was fearful as soon as he woke up this morning. He didn't obtain anything in the dungeon. He ran away? He said he made a good opponent, in his own words. The director trusted Kim Tae-yoon, so it must be right. If he ran away with his pride, then it means he met a really strong opponent. There is a problem. The information about the opponent isn't in our data. That is strange, but can't there be some gaps in your data? The big data has only been accumulated for 11 days. The director looked up at me. 9, including you. Yesterday, you ate one of them, making it 8. That is how many people we figured had the excellent survival gene. This thing started to slowly make sense. How many of those people are out? If I include you, there is one more person who survived, but he isn't a mentally stable condition. 9 people has gathered yesterday under the government call. Of course, I didn't think all the people would be gathered, but even took at least 80% of more than half were gathered here. There are at least 5 monsters I don't know about. Furthermore, in the future they will become stronger and smarter. I don't know if I can find them in the future, but Kim Tae-yoon said they would be impossible to control, especially since yesterday's actions. At that time, my phone rang. The director motioned for me to pick up the phone. Yes? Opa! It was Young Soo-jin. Your absence was truly awful. Where are you now? To be honest, it was a really welcome voice, but instead of laughing, I controlled my facial expression and spoke calmly. I'll call you later. Son Eugene noticed quickly. I understand. She immediately lessened the volume of her voice and whispered, Ji-hee Uni is with me. Yes, I have a city now. End of the chapter 51. No, 50. Next chapter 51. My feet aren't tired, so I guess I want to continue walking, but I go up for some time, at least a little bit. Like that I can put clothes on, maybe?